too long, America had been asleep. We mistook comfort for strength. We substituted efficiency for resilience and consumption as a measure of prosperity.
Do you think Spencer Pratt can do it?
You can do it, but I don't trust the Democrats.
Another great weekend where we witnessed President Trump and the White House continue to release memes, which included messaging of another revolution, the destruction of the old guard, movements toward finalizing the Iran-London control, movement of force into New Jersey, and so much more. Folks, we're at 511,000 followers on Rumble, our go-to for free speech. We really appreciate that. You hitting that like button helps us get to the top of the leaderboard. Once again, we were number 2 next to Dan Bongino. And we really appreciate that. We've got our gear at amweknow.com or shop.amweknow.com. That's our T-shirts. And we've got amazing new colors. And also our new bedazzled crew neck and tees are available in different colors. I hope you guys would check those out.
Commander-in-Chief has a new plan to mark America's 250th birthday. Alex Hogan is tracking it all from the White House. Hey, Alex.
Hi, Brian. So new reports that President Trump submitted tougher terms to Tehran, although we have not heard an official reaction on that from the White House. And it's been 2 days since President Trump held that 2-hour-long meeting in the Situation Room as to how to move forward. He's not made an announcement on any such decision so far. But yesterday in a sit-down interview on Fox, he said that Washington still holds the cards.
Number one, the strait has to be opened immediately and has to be free, no tolls, et cetera, et cetera. And number two is they can't have a nuclear weapon. That's all there is. It's very simple. And then we're going to get out of there.
Amid reports of this new framework sent to Tehran, Iran's top negotiator today says that no agreement will be reached until Iran's rights are secured, and they won't believe promises, only actions. The Commerce Department this week releasing new data showing that U.S. inflation increased at its fastest pace in 3 years in April, a change driven by higher energy prices due to the war in Iran. Democrats argue the cost on Americans is too high.
This has been an absolute disaster for the United States. Obviously, the primary impact is here at home as families and businesses are being ruined by gas prices that are $6 a gallon in some places. But it's just been a humiliation for the United States. And it's made Iran more powerful.
Back here at the White House, the president spent the day at his golf club.
Why even show this Murphy guy? Why does Fox do this? I just don't understand. And they didn't even comment on what he said, really. They just let it play. So, in the middle of all the good things happening across our country, all the deals that are being made, all the truth that's being shared from the White House to the media and more, they just have to show these freaks, these Trump derangement syndrome, low IQ freaks. Oh, it bugs me.
Here at the White House, the president spent the day at his golf club in Virginia. On Truth Social, he's called to cancel the concert series on the National Mall for Freedom 250 after a number of artists said that they would no longer participate, calling the event partisan. Interior Secretary Doug Burgum reacted to that on CNN.
Some musicians want to play music for everybody, and some musicians seem to have segmented their audiences the same way politicians have. But this is Freedom 250, and the celebration of the 250 is a nonpartisan event.
So let's jump on that one real quick, shall we? You guys heard about this. President Trump put this out. I understand artists are getting the yips, quote unquote, having to do with their performance on Wednesday. So I'm thinking about bringing the number one attraction anywhere in the world, the man who gets much larger audiences than Elvis in his prime. And he does so without a guitar. The man who loves our country more than anyone else. And the man who said, some say is the greatest president in history, the GOAT. Donald J. Trump, to take the GOAT actually means greatest of all time. Donald J. Trump to take the place of these highly paid third-rate artists and give a major speech rallying the country forward like I've done ever since being president. 2 years ago, the United States was dead. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. I don't want so-called artists that get paid far too much money who aren't happy. I only want to be surrounded by happy people, smart people, successful people, and people that know how to win. So by the copy of this truth, I am ordering my representatives to look at the feasibility of doing an America's Back rally on Wednesday, Washington, D.C. Same time, same location. Only great patriots invited. It'll be a wild and beautiful celebration of America, President Donald J. Trump. If you guys didn't know, those that said I'm not going to participate with Trump, one of them is goes by the name of Martina McBride. 2009, guess who McBride performed for? And just so proud of it. Performed at the White House for Obama. Most evil man on this earth. One of the most evil men on this earth. Demon possessed. And she walked in that room and just sang right there in front of her. But 2026, do this for America. Oh, no. President Trump's there. Oh, no. I'm not doing this 250th with Trump in office. Sassafras 84 said, Martina McBride, you done messed up. Another one's Brett Michaels. I'm not participating. Another guy named Young MC. Don't know who that is. And some others. Just want to make sure you guys got that update. I was going to share it at the end, but I figured, why not? Go ahead and tell you now. Donald Trump Jr. put this out. Get ready. Here we go. And they're showing May 31st. The dam's going to break. And you've got some colors right behind it. Red, orange, yellow, green, little light blue and purple, almost like a rainbow set of colors. Buckle up. Here we go. Is the connection. He said, here we go. Well, May 31st of 2020, we're told on the cue board, here we go. Buckle up. Trump pushes for revisions to proposed Iran deal, U.S. media's report. Well, it's connecting. President Trump posted that from the Tribune. It connects to the drop where basically the takeaway from a decode is Iran is the marker. June 1st is today. You got the ICBM nukes there at stake. Who controls the money? Think EU, City of London. The U.S. will not agree to Iran deal as it currently stands. Trump just sent the deal back for revisions. News unlocks the map.
What are the markers that you're going to use to ensure that they're keeping their promises?
Again, we'll see that the easiest is freedom of navigation in the Gulf, through the Strait of Hormuz. Right. Got to go back to the way it was before. The U.S. Navy has been fighting pirates since before we were a country, and we're not going to put up with these pirates. So, but this is a chance for the Iranian leadership to try to become a normal country. They've been a pariah country for 47 years. They're the largest state sponsor of terrorism. And the Iranian people, they have a rich history. They're great merchants. They have great culture, music, food. And it is a once-in-a-generation chance for the Iranian state, for the Iranian people to come back into the global system.
Yep, well, President Trump put this out. Iran really wants to make a deal, and it will be a good one for the USA and those that are with us. But don't he put the Democrats and various seemingly unpatriotic Republicans understand that it is much tougher for me to properly do my job and negotiate when political hacks keep negatively chirping at levels never seen before over and over again. That I should move faster or move slower or go to war or not go to war or whatever. Just sit back and relax. It will all work out well in the end. It always does. He has to tell us that all the time. He posted this picture, if you're looking at a meme, Trump Energy 2026. You've got the amazing past of our military, and then you got the future all together wrapped in one. Second American Revolution was what it looks like. President Trump also has his picture next to George Washington. He showed it again in color. And then he has this one where he's standing with our amazing Navy from the past and the future, and where we are today, you're getting discombobulated. He wants everybody to know that. And I saw this clip the White House released.
If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up.
You should be ashamed of yourself. A reminder from the White House. The Democrats did not stand. Did not stand when he said your duty is to the American citizens, not illegal aliens. They didn't stand. And that's all playing out day after day, as we've been shown over and over again. We're back in that summer season where Antifa is going to show up. There's going to be riots all over the place. Again, we're getting there. Justice Cometh reminds us the start is here. Antifa riots will return. The summer of love redux. Think midterms. Win at all costs. All assets have been activated. The fight to keep the lights off is all that matters to them. Buckle up. Here we go. And then we had this released from the White House. If you're looking at your screen, stand with ICE, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. The White House said stand with ICE, stand with law enforcement. All this playing out right before our eyes. As New Jersey is the new hot spot, right? It's been cleaned up. I'll show you some of that cleanup in a minute. But of what they've been doing to stand against the American citizens and support folks who have done heinous crimes that are from other countries. And the Democrats are like, release them. I'll show you that in a moment.
White ones, we've got clear ones.
Tons of microplastics.
Armed guard of the Democratic Party and some of their policies. We've seen Antifa do this. You go back to 2020, we saw it quite often. The minority leader, I want to share this. This is Hakeem Jeffries. He says, listen, regardless of what you think of the protests or the protesters, what they are arguing is this place should be shut down immediately. Listen to this, get your reaction on the other side.
Delaney Hall should be shut down, and every single individual, particularly those at a high level connected to this facility, they're engaging in a depraved indifference to human life. And every single member of this Trump administration is going to be held accountable.
Interesting. He said depraved indifference to human life, which is precisely what a lot of critics would say was happening by some of these major offenders. I mean, we're not just talking about rapists and murderers. We're talking about people who've committed all measure of crimes against citizens of this country as well.
Exactly. And where's the evidence that he has that this is going on there? He doesn't have any. It's just a political tactic. And again, my other point, they never say, well, let's find a safer place for them. They always just say the answer should be to let them out, which is, again, part of the overall Democratic campaign of amnesty and open borders. And that's really what this is all about. They are fighting every effort to deport illegal aliens. And the worst part about it is they don't even care if they are these serious criminals. They'd rather keep them in the country and help their overall agenda than keep the community safe. And again, back to Mikey Sherrill, that's what makes what she's doing so cynical, because she's actually putting New Jersey in greater danger while saying she's trying to keep people safe. The whole thing is politically driven, but it's really politics in the worst possible way, because there is a system of government. If you want open borders, if you want amnesty, we have ways to pass law, but they know that doesn't work. So they use tactics of subversion to the detriment of public safety and law enforcement safety.
Let me ask you this, and this sort of, I think it basically says everything you were saying earlier about this being organized. Let me show you this post. There are those online, Jonathan, who are basically asking for help. They're saying, hey, listen, we would love the community to sort of crowd share all this stuff that we need, including goggles, shatterproof preferably, knee, wrist, shin, and arm guards, and helmets. When you're trying to crowdsource to maintain these protests, which many of which have gone into late hours of the night, I think that speaks not just to what they're planning to do, but what they intend to keep doing. Again, I hearken back to what happened in 2020 post-George Floyd. This may not go away unless law enforcement steps up very strongly to put this down, or at least put it in a box so that it's not harming individuals who have to work in these facilities.
Exactly. People that are breaking the law, that are obstructing agents, need to be locked up, held accountable, prosecuted, and pay a major penalty because the deterrent value is so important. And again, these aren't protesters. Protesters don't need goggles, don't need any of these other things. We live in D.C., we see protests all the time, and they don't need all of this equipment. They're there for combat, to fight these agents, to create a disturbance. They want to create violence so that they can then complain about the violence. It's, again, the cynicism is so awful, and it's at the expense of the American people's safety.
I think sure is. You know, something to think about. Homeland Security posted this. Remember, you just saw that video. Hakeem Jeffries out there completed a congressional oversight visit with the members of the New Jersey delegation. Delaney Hall should be shut down. Translation: we need these guys out of here. We need the illegals because they got to vote for us because, man, we're losing our money. We're losing everything. Homeland Security put this out. Reminder for Jeffries. Number one, DHS doesn't make the laws. Congress does. We don't pick and choose which laws to enforce, and neither should you as a lawmaker. Number two, it is a crime to enter the United States illegally. Everyone being held inside Delaney Hall broke the law. U.S. Code Title 8, Section 1325. This is a detention center. We do not provide luxury accommodations. What we do provide are basic necessities like beds, clean water, comprehensive health care, and 3 meals a day until they go home. If you come to our country illegally, we will find you and arrest you. We encourage all illegal aliens to self-deport today. Real Life Patriots reminding us, May 31st, 2020, we were told you're witnessing the greatest coordinated disinformation campaign to ever be launched against the American people. Information warfare, infiltration versus invasion, insurgency, irregular warfare, the Democrat efforts to regain power. They'll do it at all costs. Finally, moves have been made. Arrests have been happening. Let me show you this from Homeland Security. Reminder to all rioters. Obstructing and assaulting law enforcement is a crime and felony. Anyone who assaults our officers will be arrested and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The arrests are playing out in Jersey, and it is wonderful to watch. I've got another clip I'm going to pull in from X that I just saw. Look at this guy. An hour after the curfew in Newark, New Jersey, at the ICE detention center, a guy went up. He was trying to mock the police, and he's sitting there right in front of them. He thinks that he could just be a star, right? And they're all standing there on guard, ready, and a message has been sent, said, hey, bro, get over here. We're about to grab this guy, and watch what happens right about here. You ready? Open, grab, and pulled in. Did you guys see how fast that was? And whoop, 2 guys grab him, and they pull him in, and droop, close. Go ahead and try to get him. Oh, just one at a time. Let's hear who's actually showing up at these.
We know that people from outside the state have been interfering in the protests and escalating them. 5 of the 6 people arrested last night by state police were from outside New Jersey. And some national extremist groups have become involved in the protest here today. To the people coming from out of state to create chaos and dangerous situations, you should not be here.
You should not be here. They're showing up from outside of New Jersey. Oh. Now, remember we had the illegal alien site, aliens.gov, that we showed the other day where they had a play on, these aliens, illegals that come into our country. They've been living amongst us. Remember that? White House posted this. Check it out. White House said, are you listening? They're running. There you can see the wall. Looks like the wall to me. Basically shadows of the wall on the sand. They're running. They're using the illegal alien, kind of alien type of wording for all of that. Grasshopper saw this. Justice Inbound is an 11-second clip at 11:02 a.m. So you go to 11:02 on the Q board. Q 11:02. Think emails. Loretta Lynch, HRC, Hillary Rodham Clinton, Hussein, etc. Class action lawsuits are effective. That's for the whole world. Who's running? Q11, 11-second clip. Key, military intelligence versus FBI, CIA, and NSA. No approval or congressional oversight. State secrets upheld under the Supreme Court. Who is the commander and chief of the military? Under what article can the president impose military intelligence takeover? Investigations for the three-letter agencies. What conditions must present itself? Why is this so very important? Who surrounds the president? They lost this very important power. The one area of the government not corrupt and directly serves the president of the United States. All very important. Talking about illegals. Look what can happen when you import these guys into your country. You guys notice the Eiffel Tower. Fires burning at the Eiffel Tower. Paris is burning. France descending into chaos as mobs take to the streets, burning everything in sight, chanting Allahu Akbar and death to France and openly calling for Islamic law. They used a soccer game to, play off of. This is the direct result of years of mass migration and failed integration. France gave them asylum and opportunity. Now they're torching the country that welcomed them. Look at this. Anybody want to go to Paris, France? Looks like a lot of fun. Great place to visit, huh? Just wonderful. Go get a cup of tea and, I don't know. Pretty big city. Maybe this is just one part of the city, right? Maybe there's some good parts still. And people in Paris that listen to this are upset because I'm bringing this up. I don't know. But doesn't look very relaxing. They say, well, it was like a soccer game and they were all celebrating. No, they were burning cars and tearing up property and running around with masks on and declaring Allah Akbar and more. Makes you wonder what would happen to our country when so many more are entering. California Mayor Eileen Wang pled guilty this week after an FBI investigation revealed she was covertly using her position to act as an agent of China. She'll now face justice. This came out from Kash Patel. President Trump said it was revealed that the FBI had secretly placed, against all rules, regulations, protocols, and standards, 274 FBI agents into the crowd just prior to and during the January 6th hoax. This is different from what Director Christopher Wray stated over and over again. That's right. As it is now turns out, FBI agents were at and in the January 6th protests, probably acting as agitators and insurrectionists, but certainly not as law enforcement officials. I want to know who each and every one of these so-called agents are and what they were up to on that now historic day. Many great patriots, American patriots, were made to pay a very big price only for the love of their country. I owe this investigation of dirty cops and crooked politicians to them. Christopher Wray, the then director of the FBI, has some major explaining to do. That's 2 in a row, Comey and Wray, who got caught lying. With our great country at stake, we can never let this happen to America ever again. And of course, if you notice, if you're looking at your screen, there was a big cleanup being done in D.C. Somebody with the American philosophy on X, Amer Philo 2025 is the @ This is a video that was taken of Columbus Circle outside of Union Station in D.C. in 2022. Union Station is 2 blocks from the U.S. Capitol. It is where thousands of tourists come through every single day, both domestic and international, to witness the glory and grandeur of our nation. If you're listening, not looking, there's tents, there's trash all over the place. Just about 70%, 75% of any place that has grass has a tent and a homeless person in it. Columbus Circle is a national monument and is managed by the Department of Interior, which at this point in time was under the Biden administration. This is what tourists used to see every day when visiting the seat of the federal government. This is what progressive policies look like in action. Progressivism is simply brutality and ugliness hidden behind supposed empathy. It is shameful and disgusting. Make no mistake, decline is a choice, not an inevitability. You will always receive what you vote for. When we say we want to make America beautiful again, this is what we mean. This is embarrassing at the least and outright evil at the worst. It's a mockery of our nation and of our values. So enough of that. Let me show you the beautification here once again.
To film this is crazy. Now, I'm from this area. I've never seen it like this. It's so blue. It is bouncing off the white marble. I've never seen the marble this clean before. We have 2 other fountains, too, that have the same blue water. Oh, my God. It smells gorgeous. It looks gorgeous. Ah! Oh, my God. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, breathtaking. God.
Pretty nice. You know, also the president released the drone port on the roof of the White House ballroom.
The drone port on the roof of the White House ballroom. President Donald J. Trump. Witness the power of American innovation and strength. Our skies are secure. America is strong.
They are. And also released by the president, another one. Trump trolls the loser rhinos with savage get in loser. We're going losing. The meme featuring Massey, MTG, Tucker, Boebert, Rand Paul, and it looks like Candace all together in one vehicle. Wow. You guys remember that LA mayor candidate, Nithya Raman? Remember she said, I don't think a kid is going to be safer because a tent is 500 feet away from a school. Well, somebody decided to set up a fake encampment right outside of her home, a fake homeless encampment. And guess what? She was visibly shaken.
I'm wondering if you support 4118 around schools and daycares.
I already voted against it, because it doesn't work. I mean, it's like, I don't think a kid's going to be safer because a tent is 500 feet away from a school. It just doesn't.
Woke up this morning.
That was before. I don't think it's a big deal. Who cares if they're over there shooting drugs up right across the street from the school? Well, then they did the fake encampment next to her house, and listen to how she reacted on a podcast to that.
Morning to a sound of commotion outside of my window, and I looked out the window and I realized that there were people setting up what was, I think, a fake encampment, like a homeless encampment outside of my house. Multiple people gathered there filming it to make shooting something with cameras and things like that outside of my house. I have 2 little kids.
Yeah.
They didn't see it, luckily, this morning. But, I feel badly that I'm even subjecting them to that at all.
Oh, is that right? You're subjecting your own children to that. You feel bad, but what about the people that you're supposed to represent there? Oh, man. Good move on their part. Of course, with all the big moves playing out, you guys know the Los Angeles mayoral race poll shows Spencer Pratt surging. He's leading the race over Karen Bass. That's right. He's at 30.1% to 29.5%. Dead heat with massive momentum heading into the June 2nd primary. If any of the candidates don't get 50% of the vote on Tuesday, the race will go into a runoff of the top 2 candidates. Imagine that. Remember, they always have fraud. So this is something that was dropped by Justice Cometh as a reminder.
Work at the vote bailouts, which means we get your votes and we separate them. So if some of these votes happen to say, like this one, Donald J. Dumb Trump, that one just don't make it towards the mayor.
Yeah, remember? Just taking ballots, looking at them and saying, you know what? We're going to rip that one up. That one doesn't count. To see Pratt up, I'm getting paid to throw these away. There's no telling how this is going to all play out. We got more with Spencer Pratt in a moment and what the people are telling him on the streets. And even comedian Rob Schneider. Karen Bass defunded a 130-year-old Los Angeles institution that paved the roads. She fired the men that I'm about to play right here in a second via email and never responded to their request. Now they say they're voting Spencer Pratt.
Maybe I know that when you win, and we're all going to vote for you, that all 93 and our families, we're an association. We're organized. We're nonprofit. We're all set up. So you know, they know the hurt, they know the feeling, they saw the destruction of this 133-year-old program, and it was uncalled for, and it was a robbery, you know, and so we
the
need to
city
change.
needs it. Let's go back to so if it's not just that way.
Yeah, it's not you guys.
It's not just
it's
the you have the trucking because we're still here. Floyd, myself, Victor. We're here. We still got you got 90 trucks ready to go to work.
Yeah.
They got trucks. They're ready to go. It's kind of hard to hear. The music's a little bit too loud in the background, whoever made this clip. But anyway, Karen Bass redirected the money to fix the roads to a homeless program. Karen Bass administration redirected the funds from the traditional street repair programs to prioritize homelessness initiatives, particularly inside SAFE. Those in the industry say roughly $100 million plus in infrastructure and street repair money was diverted, felt the long-standing paving program, their livelihood, was robbed to fund more homelessness efforts. Money laundering. We all know it's money laundering and embezzlement. Here's Rob Schneider on Spencer Pratt.
Do you think Spencer Pratt can do it?
You can do it, but I don't trust the Democrats.
That's exactly how I was hoping you would say that.
The Democrats have it. Spencer, no, the Democrats have their ideological captives, and they're not letting it go. The thing is that they've convinced their people that it's just no matter how bad things are, it would somehow, these people are so evil, it will be worse. It's like, yes, your entire town burned down, but imagine if it was burned down by someone who was transphobic. Can you imagine? You know, at least the person was burned down. At least had, you know, there were rainbow colors to the flames. You know, so that, yes, there's a lot of human poop, but imagine if that poop was conservative. Imagine the stench of that. So look at the consistency. It's completely non-transphobic human feces. So you really have a group of people that have convinced them there's a bunker mentality happening in Los Angeles, and people they just won't cross over the line. It literally is, you know, the last days of the bunker for Karen Bass, and they just convinced them it would be way worse if they had conservative. And I think you got to try something. Los Angeles, how could it be worse? Try something different.
Yeah, I read Rob Schneider's book. Actually listened to it, the audiobook. It's better because he actually is the one reading his own book. He does a phenomenal job with all of his voices and more. What an amazing journey this guy's been on. I remember watching him when he would making copies. Well, let's now listen to Scott Bessent, shall we, about America and where it's been and where it's going.
The truth is that for too long, America had been asleep. We mistook comfort for strength. We substituted efficiency for resilience and consumption as a measure of prosperity. We told ourselves that so long as goods were cheaper overseas, it did not matter whether factories went dark in Michigan, Ohio, or Pennsylvania. We assumed that supply chains would always function smoothly and adversaries would always behave responsibly, and the invisible hand would correct vulnerabilities that too few in public life had the courage to confront. And while we reassured ourselves with those assumptions, risk accumulated all around us. Somewhere along the way, we lost sight of a foundational principle that previous generations understood instinctively. Economic security is national security. For a nation that cannot manufacture, mine, ship, or refine its needs gradually, cedes its strength and sovereignty to others. That is a dangerous dependency for any country. It is an unacceptable one for the United States of America.
Great information. And you know what? There's other folks that are following suit. I'm going to show you just a few minutes from Promethean Action on some strange things happening recently in our world with some of these world leaders or people that are very smart, all of a sudden turning for Trump in a way.
Yesterday, Jamie Dimon, the chairman of J.P. Morgan Chase, the biggest bank in America,
went on Fox News and made a confession to Maria Bartiromo.
Why did it take so long for corporate America to understand that the supply chains and by the way, elected officials, Congress and the White House, how come it's taken so long to understand that we can't have other countries, particularly adversaries, making our stuff? That's important.
We should have 15 years ago.
Think about that. The man at the very center of the financial system that hollowed out American industry in the first place now says that it was a mistake and we should have seen it 15 years ago. And he's not the only one. Mark Carney is sounding like Trump. Tony Blair is asking Trump's questions. The whole rules-based order is suddenly speaking the Trump language. But if you're watching the mainstream headlines, you're not seeing any of this. You're caught up in which judge just ruled what, or the latest social media storm engineered to keep you doom scrolling. But while you're watching the outrage cycle, something bigger is happening. What the media isn't going to tell you is that Donald Trump just carried out the biggest shift in economic and strategic power of the entire post-war period. And you're not supposed to see it. But Carney, Blair, and Diamond see it, and they're scrambling. I'm Susan Kokinda, and we here at Promethean Action see it clearly because we understand what the real battlefield is. The one that President Trump is actually fighting on. So if that's your kind of fight, hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons so we can stay in touch and reach more people. Here's what I'm going to cover today. First, how Carney, Blair, and Diamond are suddenly echoing Donald Trump and scrambling to pour their old imperial wine into rebranded bottles. Second, why this administration's revival of the American system is why they've suddenly had to start talking about industry and growth. And third, why their rebrand is dead on arrival, because you cannot revive the American system on British imperial principles. So let's start with the rebrand. When your enemies start sounding like you've already won the battle. This week, we heard from Mark Carney and Tony Blair, two of the most notorious operatives of that rules-based post-war order. Then Jamie Dimon chimed in for good measure. So Canada's Prime Minister and the central banker's central banker, Mark Carney, was at the New York Economic Club on May 28, where he repeated his now familiar line that the rules-based order is ruptured by Donald Trump's policies and that clinging to it nostalgically is not an option. But then he launched into his new Canada Strong pitch.
So in our first year in government, we cut taxes on incomes, on capital gains, on new business investments. We introduced something called the productivity super deduction. We're in the process of catalyzing $1 trillion of investment in Canada over the course of the next 5 years in energy, transportation, data, and defense. We've launched our most significant regulatory reforms in generations to fast-track hundreds of billions of dollars of nation-building infrastructure projects, and we're realizing our full potential as an energy superpower. Because a country that can't feed, fuel, or defend itself is not truly sovereign. Because, well, strategic autonomy today extends to building partnerships, capabilities across AI, financial payments, space, critical minerals.
So there you have.
Wow. Big changes playing out, huh? Right there for everyone to see. And she has a great update, and it's in the description box below. I wanted to show you this last clip of what's happening there.
We were the arsenal of democracy.
You got to read the book Freedom Forge, how the America got fully engaged after Pearl Harbor. Like we went from building almost no ships, no tanks, no aircraft to, we built 144 aircraft carriers in 4 years. There was no car produced in America from 1943 to 1945.
Wow.
All those plants, all of them, and not just GM and Ford, all those plants were building bombers, fighters, tanks, jeeps, ships. We went from building a Liberty ship in 1 year to 2 days. And so we just got to get this machine going, and hopefully this will get it done fast enough.
Wow, Diamond. Amazing, huh? Got to get this thing moving. President Trump reposted this, justthenews.com headline, Cotton Over Chemicals, How Trump's USDA is Making America's Fabric Great Again. Observing Consciousness chimed in and says, this may sound like it's just about cotton shirts, but it's really much bigger than that. Trump is starting to push America back toward natural products instead of petroleum-based synthetic materials that dominate almost everything we wear today. That means less dependence on foreign supply chains, less exposure to chemicals and microplastics, more support for American farmers and manufacturing, and more transparency about where products actually come from. Cotton becomes the symbol because it connects health, farming, jobs, trade, and everyday life all at once. In simple terms, it feels like a shift away from cheap synthetic systems built for mass production and back toward things that are more natural, local, durable, and connected to real American industry again. Well, all that's playing out, we're getting rid of the drugs. Here's another one. U.S. forces turn a drug boat into a fireball in Eastern Pacific. Suspected narco trafficking vessel erupted in flames after being struck by U.S. forces. That video is from Southern Command, the dramatic hit during Friday's operation, helping save the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. Get rid of those drugs. We've had enough. Also, people have had enough of the woke culture and more, and it's playing out in more ways than we can imagine. Joe Lang chimed in with this headline, Seattle to declare state of emergency to protect transgender refugees. Really? Refugees? What do you mean they're refugees? Into Seattle? Transgender? There are so many examples of the Democrat Party being destroyed before our eyes, says Joe Lang, and people still worry about the midterms. Have you ever heard the term money flow disruption? Money is the life of politics. It's not a guarantee of victory, as Cornyn just found out, but it greases the wheel, and without it, a party who holds toxic views that most Americans find repulsive is defenseless now that the media advantage has been replaced by news on social media. Here's the latest example. Quote, it is perhaps ironic that thousands of progressive activists and LGBT advocates are leaving red states over imaginary oppression after they spent years attacking conservatives for escaping blue states over very real medical tyranny. At least conservatives never called themselves refugees. Oh, I've heard some comedians saying I'm a refugee from New York down to Florida. I've heard that. Anyway, leftists specifically believe their rights are being violated in red states because conservative governments won't allow them to mutilate their children with hormone therapy and sex change surgeries. This nightmare trend, which is increasingly proven by science to have a detrimental effect on the minds and health of the people who undergo gender therapies, is still heavily protected in leftist havens like Seattle. So blue states and cities like Seattle are seeing an increased migration of leftists. It's not just the trans and LGBTQ community, it's also the homeless population. But the political landscape has completely changed. In the past, especially under Obama, thousands of NGOs were funneled federal taxpayer dollars to fund left-wing groups locally that would then funnel part of that money right back into the pockets of the Democrat candidates. So the Democrat Party has not been able to fund itself for more decades than you realize. So taxpayers at the federal and state level have been forced to fund Democrat Party elections, but that game is now over. The Democrat Party is in desperate straits and in dire need of money heading into the midterms. The Democrats know that if they lose their midterms, they will be in the minority for a long time. Spoiler alert, the Democrat Party won't actually survive what's coming, and it won't be because of the midterms. There's no more two-tier justice system to protect them. We have now entered the age of consequences. Seattle's new Democratic Socialist Communist mayor, Katie Wilson, is more than happy to oblige the mentally ill mob clamoring for access. The problem is, as the crazies move in, all the businesses are moving out. This conundrum leaves Wilson's poorly managed city in a financial bind. New transgender residents, they're calling themselves refugees and demanding access to tax-based subsidies in order to survive. One would think they could simply get jobs like everyone else, but much like third world migrants, everywhere these people go, they are always jobless and in dire need of handouts. The money is quickly draining. For left-wing NGOs, non-governmental organizations, there is a state of emergency. The Seattle LGBTQ Commission has requested that Mayor Katie Wilson declare a civil state of emergency due to an influx of transgender and queer individuals relocating from conservative states. which is straining local housing, food, and mental health resources. National data shows that 84% of transgender and non-binary people have made major life decisions such as relocating since November 2025 due to state policies. This mass influx means that some Seattle support organizations will face a depletion of resources by the end of the summer. Did you catch the signal? These left-wing NGOs are telling their Democrat politicians that they are going to run out of money before the midterms. However, the most likely agenda behind an emergency declaration would be to push for federal funds, which, of course, Seattle will not get. If the proxies funding the Democrat Party are running out of money in Seattle, they are running out of money everywhere. The midterms are secured. Enjoy the show. Now, here's something pretty genius happening in Florida. It'll probably end up going to other states.
Represent 4 straight years of spending reductions in the state of Florida, and we're very proud of that. But at the local level, which is where the property tax revenue goes, we've gone from local governments taking $32 billion in 2019 in taxes to now $60 billion. That's almost 100% increase in revenue. And look, part of it is people have moved here. Part of it is that property values have gone up, but homeowners need relief. And so it's my view that if you are a Florida resident and you have a homestead, we want that to be tax-free. And so that's our vision. That represents about 30% of the overall property tax revenue because they still tax investment property, commercial property. And so this ballot measure will do an opening salvo of raising it, the exemption to $250, adjusted for inflation, so they can't play games. That will be 60% of Florida homesteaders tax-free. Then as they raise it, the legislature will be able to raise that and have a process to do that. Once you get to 500,000 limit, that's 92% of homeowners, and then on it goes from there. But if we don't give homeowners relief, Maria, by 2032, they're going to be taking in $83 billion. So that would mean $32 billion in 2019. 13 years later, it goes to $83 billion. That is not sustainable. And so this is really a historic opportunity to have more money in people's pockets and to actually have their home be their private property that the government just can't use as a piggy bank.
Good stuff. You know, speaking of piggy banks, how about Fort Knox? President Trump posted this. Time to physically audit Fort Knox. Former CIA official arrested after feds find $40 million worth of gold bars stashed at his home. Oh, my goodness, folks. It's just getting better every day. You know, we had a great video we released Saturday. Dr. Kirk Elliott, we got into how the layoffs and businesses closing are affecting precious metals, Trump and the Fed, what's going on there. Zombie home foreclosures, learned all about that. And I didn't know about the zombie home foreclosures, but he explains why it's important to pay attention to all of this and realize that what it does to precious metals and how silver continues to not overreact to any of this and actually continues to grow. And man, what an amazing time we had.
Of socialists and communists and people who hate wanting to see America stay at the top, that are pushing against this. This is the battle that Trump is facing, right? This is why we need to pray for him every single day. Literally every single day, we need to pray for him that he would have wisdom and get this done. And through divine intervention, God would intervene in the hearts and minds of people and get these things done, right? Because America is really in the balance. So while this is all happening, you look at the world that I live in, gold and silver broker, right? They're going up.
That's right. If you guys go to amweknow.com/gold, you can reach out to Dr. Kirk Elliott and his team. They will pray with you, work with you, and get in your fiat currency and from your IRA over to precious metals. Man, we did it. Silver was $20. What a great move. Many others are feeling the same thing. And, you know, part of this wake up with all money and more that's been playing out is the huge win where Secretary Rubio announced USAID has officially ceased operations. The bloated deep state cash cow is shut down for good thanks to President Trump and Doge. The agency funneled billions of taxpayer dollars into endless foreign grift, NGOs, and who knows what else while Americans struggled at home. Patriots have demanded this for years. No more bank blank checks for globalist schemes and money laundering disguised as aid. That's right. So good information, positive info, and again, just reminding you that they're trying to, these guys are, for some reason, they just don't want to participate with anything that has to do with Trump. Just a reminder. But I wanted to tell you, when they're all, saying, we don't want to support Trump, we don't think this big American celebration's good, whatever it is that they're thinking. Those people complaining, saying that the American celebration is bad, well, they're the same ones that welcomed this to the White House, which was making a debauchery of D.C. with their immoral behavior, bringing transgenders in and making the colors of the LGBT system on the White House grounds. Do you guys remember that? Just a reminder for all of you. This video clip was released by President Trump, and it shows Air Force One being protected. President Trump posts that video at 11:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which equals 2320 in military time. Q post 2320 stated October 3rd, 2018. Wireless emergency alert, presidential alert. This is a test of the National Wireless Emergency Alert System. What a wonderful day. Wonderful day. This guy gets it. Tennessee gubernatorial candidate Monty Fritz going viral for his campaign video.
The same people that many of us spent decades fighting are now overrunning our shores because we have weak, corrupt politicians. We've got a Muslim problem. Article 1, Section 3 of the Tennessee Constitution is very clear. All men have a natural and indefeasible right to worship Almighty God within the dictates of their conscience. That's the God of the Bible. That's not these other false gods that people want to introduce into America. There's no room for mosques in the state of Tennessee.
Hail, hail, Lion of Judah. Let the lion roar.
Very good. That's the God of the Bible, not these other false gods that people want to introduce into America. There's no room for these mosques. Man, just learning so much more about what's been happening in our country. Do you guys know the number of mosques that have gone up? It's gone up, I believe, 230% since 2004, I believe. And I believe we have more than 3,000 mosques now throughout the United States of America. And we've been talking about it, been showing you more and more how this can play out, what happens in other nations and what can happen to us. I tell you what, it's time to wake up. And I think we're watching things play out in a historical fashion for all of us to see. The Justice Cometh reminded us with this clip from one of our favorite movies.
Maverick, you're 3/4 of a mile. Call the ball.
Roger. Maverick has the ball.
Maverick, you're...
Roger. Maverick has the ball. It's officially June. Real Life Patriot reminds us it's go time. Tulsi's going to release all of it. 4384 on the keyboard says Roger Ball has been called. Good and green. Q.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you now. So good to see how you continue to bring folks who are broken, many who have been through so many things in their life, but they brought their life to Christ, many that have gone through a lot and realized that you exist, still haven't come to Christ, but you are using fallen people for your purposes of rescuing the children, rescuing nations, bringing this slave grip and putting it away, just like you did in Egypt, freeing so many, walking them through the Red Sea and destroying what was the deep state back then. This evil control of this earth by Satan and his forces. We thank you as we continue to bring before your throne requests for a protection over our president, over many on the front lines. We continue to see the cleanup of D.C. reflecting the cleanup of our earth. We certainly hope that more and more folks have been taken care of by you and put in places of leadership decision making to help make these moves forward for not just us, but our future, our children's children even. We again come before you asking for help and support in what we say and do, especially with our neighbors, with our friends and family, and more. We bring this all before your throne in the name of Jesus Christ, our Savior. Amen. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you have a great remainder of your week. We've got a lot to cover, I'm sure. And boy, June is going to be a big month, I think. For now, it's LT Semper Fi with Them We Know. Signing out.
The truth is that for too long, America had been asleep. We mistook comfort for strength. We substituted efficiency for resilience and consumption as a measure of prosperity.
Do you think Spencer Pratt can do it?
You can do it, but I don't trust the Democrats.